Hey there, guys. Good afternoon. I wanted to catch you guys up and let you know that I have been propagating the opening titles Module 2 lesson plans. I realized it was empty, and I'm trying to catch up and get as much information to you as possible. You're going to see in here that I've included now quite a lot of bit of learning modules inside the Module 2, talking about the art of the title, some famous title artists as well, Saul Bass, Cal Cooper, some simple tutorials from YouTube linking to other people's content, learning how to create open title sequences, how to make your own title sequence and the theory behind them, film title design in After Effects, an easy method, and of course I recently just added this, how to access the Art Institute library link in order to get a hold of free video and audio resources as well as images that you can download and utilize for your content specifically with this opening title. Now, I wanted to make this video just to get into a little bit of an introduction on what I'm looking for in this opening title. You can see content must be used of real film or television shows, names, actors, music, etc. I also put an announcement describing what I'm kind of looking for here, meaning I want you to base this on an actual film or on an actual TV show or something. And what you're going to use is you're going to use the music from that, and you're going to use the information such as the actual name of the show or the movie, directed by, starring, and so on. Then you are free to make all your text, graphics, shapes, images, and video elements to go along with that opening title. You see here, the project is to be a minimum of 30. I understand that might be a little short considering some opening titles are rather long. And the output is to be a 1920 by 1080 video compression. Now, big question often comes up. How do you actually get that content, and what in the way am I kind of looking for? Well, I'll bounce over here to YouTube, and I've got this little opening title element here. This is actually a student made, so this is someone who created this by the same kind of specs of what I'm looking for.
Shines in the autumn sky, growing cold, the leaves all die. I'm more alone than I've ever been. Help me out of the shape I'm in. After the fires, before the flood, my sweet baby, I need fresh blood.
All right, so there you see the information that is there, the title of the show, the directed by, the starring, the produced, all that stuff is what you would use, and then you're responsible recreating it whether through pictures. This is using some simple ink splatter with blending modes. It's using a little bit fancier 3D camera fly-through, but you're just creating that content. And I actually included, of course, some samples from Student Pass that are kind of covering this as well. So how do we actually go about doing that? Well, first, find an opening title. So I have this, I just found this one. And again, it's got a lot of extra, so don't waste your time doing or recreating the, the actual, Warner Pictures Presents, but rather focus on the music and the content. So you wouldn't even use DC, that would take too much time. But focus on the name and the people and the information involved, and you can even again use the actual music. Okay? So how do we actually get that out of YouTube where you find your opening title, whether it be a Pixar film or a TV show or some other action? Well, what we need is, again, we need to be able to grab the audio, right? In fact, I don't know why this is giving me so much bogged down. To tell you what, I'm going to stop that one right there. I'm going to go back to Walking Dead. So how do we get the music and how do we get the information out of here? Well, we simply copy the URL, Command-C, and then you can go to YouTube to MP3. And any of these kind of work. Just be wary. Some of the advertisement can be a little sketchy on here. Some are good, some are bad. And we paste the URL. Block? No. No, I don't want you. Paste and convert. And what this does is this is actually able now, you can see I want the MP3 only, and I want to download. It's going to, see, open up all these other windows. I just want the MP3, and you can see it's currently downloading it to my download file. So that now I can go find my download. There it is right there, right? And something you're going to want to do is create a project folder of everything. So you want to make a project folder for Module 2, opening title, and then have, of course, your resources in there, your audio, your music, or whatnot. And then what you can do is simply launch your After Effects. Where's my After Effects? Come on, After Effects. And as I covered in the first module on getting started in After Effects and setting projects and all that stuff, what I'm going to want to do here is create a new project, obviously, make a new composition. I could call it opening title. I want this, though, to be a 1920 1080, which is going to be HDTV 1080. See, it's 1920 by 1080. And I don't know exactly how long this needs to be, but I could set the project probably to about 50 minutes just to get, or 50 seconds just to get started. Hit OK. And then just to get things begun, I drag in my audio to work from, drag it into the layer here. I can open up my waveform to see now, especially if I zoom in, I can see my peaks and valleys, so I can now sync and time out when I want something to appear. So if I hit the space bar, there's no content in here yet, but I can and then I can start to use the resource of the original content I had. For example, well, let's see, the opening title appeared at 4 seconds. So I can bounce back to After Effects, find my 4-second level. See, I'm at 4 seconds. And I can use my text tool now and start to define the text information. Okay? So I could come in here and say, The Walking Dead. Okay? And now it's just an issue of figuring out how to design this. So I can come over to my font library here and choose some interesting fonts, make them nice and large so I can read them. Put them in the center here, and if you don't know, there is a little guide that we can utilize here to make sure that our titles are properly centered and visible. It's actually this little target device right here called Title Action Safe. And what that basically means is we never want a title outside of that box. Just because we have the ability of putting these things all the way to the edge, or, for example, if I said, put this in the center and scaled it up, okay, that may look fine, but I'm outside the range of the inner box here. That inner box is what's called title safe. We want that to be inside that box if possible. Okay? And then it's just an issue of thinking about, okay, how do I want this to animate on? And I could say, okay, well, I want that to appear about here, but I don't need it to last forever, so I could shorten up my length of this to a few seconds. You want to be able to read something about 3 seconds. And I can always change the color later. I can always change, some animation. But then it's an issue of, okay, what do I want behind it? Do I want graphics? Do I want pictures? Do I want video? And that's why the previous video I showed you was how to access video or other content. But this is where I can start to make small little changes here, especially if I go with the similar kind of font, or I'm actually going to go back here and see, okay, what's the next bit of information I need to show? Andrew Lincoln, okay? So that's the second most important thing to have on here. So maybe somewhere around here, I'll grab a text tool, and I'll type in Andrew Lincoln. And maybe I'll choose a different font for that, just because I can. Now, just because we have every font available to us, doesn't mean we should use every font available to us. Similarly, just because we have every color available to us, doesn't mean we should use every color. And then I can make this be, again, a length of time. Maybe I'll have it appear there. So right now, these are just appearing and disappearing, appearing and disappearing. But we have the ability here of doing some much more interesting animation. And this is the purpose of why I wanted to do this quick little tutorial, is because we do have these things called effects and presets. And if I open those up, you're going to see at the very top animation presets. If I open that up, you're going to see a tab for text. And here we have pre-made animation. Animate in, animate out, blurs, curves and spins, graphic, multi-line, organic. These are all pre-made animation tabs. So if I say animate in, I could have this, oh, I don't know, let's say fly in from the bottom, fade up lines, fade up characters. I'll do fade up lines. And I simply drag it on to where I want that to begin. Right where this blue marker is where that's going to begin. And you see now they're fading in. Okay, I'm going to make it a little bit longer and zoom in so we can see what it did there by creating text, animator, range selector, and you see the keys, right? So I want this, let's say, to start here, but maybe I want it to be on screen by 6. I can move those keys closer. And then I can think about animating out. And I'm going to animate out, let's say, by using a blur. And let's just say I'm going to use the blur evaporate right at that point. That now has added the new animator, evaporate animator, range selection, and you can see where it begins and where it ends. So I want it to end maybe right there. And then I can move those closer. So very quickly there, I've used pre-made animation presets for text in After Effects for this first title part. Now, what you notice there is it's slowed down a little bit. It's slowing down because it's having to RAM preview. That's this green progress bar. But once it does it, it'll actually create that RAM preview. Okay, so we're getting some really cool stuff here. I could even come in and just do typical effects here. Like, oh, let's do generate, and I'll do a, let's do a light, I'll do a light ray. Put that on there. And this light ray, you can see if I move it over top of here, I can say I want this to start here, and key, and then say have it go across The Walking Dead to about there. And you see now I've added this neat little light ray effect across that. Maybe it needs to have a little bit more intensity. There we go. See? Just to say, read this. And then I can have some fun with this, whether I can copy and paste these effects I put on here. Or let's move over to this next where this name appears. Maybe I want to do a bullet train on this clip of text. Find the text, find the animator, open the range selector, and you see the beginning. See that? And then I can go to the end of it here. And even here, I can simply copy these keys. So this is the out key, so I can copy and paste it to there now. Move a little further towards the end of it where it says Andrew Lincoln. Copy and paste. So now I'm animating the word Andrew Lincoln on the screen and then animating it off. And then you would just go ahead and do that for every name, every resource that is going to accomplish your opening title. And then it's an issue then of just designing with color, designing with video. So again, you might want to go into that library resource for the video blocks and find, I don't know, old towns, old cities. For example, I could come in here. Let's just quickly just go to my desktop and find some content. I know I've got this in another folder, but it'll work. Nope, not that. Video clips. Okay, so maybe this is the first video you see. I can drag that in, right? And you get an idea here of an opening content of video for the very beginning, which of course we can even put a little, whoops, not the audio. Let's make sure we're grabbing the video, put it in the bottom. And maybe I'll key an opacity shift up right there. Whoops. And you key stuff by simply activating the stopwatch. See, so I now have this faded up, and now I can...
Me out of the shape of...
You see it is building the RAM preview. I know. Sounds awful and hideous, doesn't it? Well...
Me out of the shape I'm in. After the fires, before the flood. My sweet baby, I need fresh blood.
Yeah, for some reason I chopped that down. I didn't mean to chop that down. Now, if you're having playback issues, something you could always go here is to the edit, purge all memory and disk cache. This is where it stores. Every time you do a RAM preview, it stores it there. Another thing is to change the quality of the player window. So if it's on full, it's full quality, because at this point, I know it's going to look good, but I want to worry more about my performance of my keyframes, so I can choose a smaller size. And I can even preview it at a slightly smaller size here to make it go faster. So this is an example here, and I'm currently recording this. I've got the internet open. I'm doing lots and lots of stuff here, so my computer is running very slow right now. It would not normally do this if I was just doing this inside of After Effects. But that is why there's a lag, okay? Just let that finish up a little. Okay, now let's go back and play it back. So that's all you're going to do. And again, eventually you can go back and play around with, you know, customizing this just a bit more by, you know, maybe going back to the character and saying, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go with red here, you know, or do a drop shadow, or I could do blending modes, or any of these things. Basically, again, what we're dealing here is motion Photoshop anyways. So think about each of your shots well, build your compositions, get to where you get, you know, all the names. So you'd want to go and say, okay, I got Andrew Lincoln. You know, what's the next name that appears here? Looks like it's Laurie Holden. And even at this point, I could take the Andrew Lincoln and Control D to duplicate it. And maybe over here is where I can have the name Laurie Holden. I don't know how it's spelled, but let's just say that. L-A-U-R-I, L-A-U-R-I-E, Holden, E-N. Forgot an E, right? And because I duplicated that one, it's going to have the same effects animating in and out as this one with the little evaporate on it. And then this one comes along and it has that same, the animate on and off. And then it's just an issue of picking pictures, video, graphics, okay? I'm going to add another little tutorial on how you can even do animation here that I've already pre-recorded that's on my YouTube channel. And then you can see again how to start animating stuff. So if you actually want to do more two-dimensional graphics, kind of like you saw, like, I don't know if maybe you're doing a Pixar or you're doing something that's a little more fun, rather than dealing with, you know, just working with video and graphics over video. So that's a great way to get started here. Remember the main focus on this particular assignment, whereas the first module assignment, kinetic type, was text, font, color, and timing to the audio file, but no graphics or pictures. Now we're starting to use graphics and pictures, but we're still having to think about the timing and working with the audio. In many ways, I'm almost one to make this first little opening title element. If I find that first key, which is pretty much right there at the beginning, I would probably want that to happen at a certain specific time in my waveform, so I would probably want it to happen right here where that first beat happens. And say, yeah, I'd rather have that happen there. See? So the words are appearing wherever these beats are appearing here. So, in a nutshell, guys, that's a great way to think about getting started, a little bit more better description of what I'm looking for. Remember, you have to use an existing movie or film or TV show. You can, again, use the existing opening title, movie, TV shows, content, the names, the who, the what, the title, but then I want you to customize the own video, customize your own graphics to kind of fill in the visuals. So instead of just being the kinetic type time to the audio, now we're able to start filling in with some of the background elements. So that's about all I have for this little short tutorial on getting started here, and I look forward to seeing what you guys can do.